play as much as anything. Everyone thinks it's the stance he took. One of the things you don't look for is distractions in the locker room. If you go back to Bill Walsh, and as soon as there were guys that weren't fitting in for what he was looking for, it didn't matter how good you were. You weren't on a team for very long. You have to have
where goes Jack. But I will not hesitate if I think they're wrong. So he says he's comparing Colin Kaepernick to Tim Tebow. So tell me, when will Colin Kaepernick get an opportunity to try for a second and a third and a fourth team? When he does that, then I can say, you know what, Joe, you might be right. A Super Bowl game, when will Tim Tebow do that? Oh, he didn't and he won't. So therefore, again, he's not like Tim Tebow. Colin Kaepernick has a completion percentage of 59.5. His completion percentage last year was 58%. Skip, let me tell you, guys, like he's kneeling during the game. Like they call timeout and the coach is trying to talk to him and he's kneeling in protest.
You know, it's just the old school premise that the quarterback has to be the CEO. So you can't have any distraction, especially from the quarterback position, Tim Tebow or Colin Kaepernick, because if you have something else that is splitting your attention from obsession with pro football, with winning Super Bowls, they don't want you. Unless you're really, really the cream of the crop good. If you're a top five, maybe you can overcome this.
But Joe's right. Coach Walsh probably wouldn't put up with it. That was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And you know the way they coach and the way players behave then as compared to now is totally different.
Yeah.
The coaches had much more control then because.
And I can make a case just on paper that the Lakers are still the worst team in the West. The absolutely loaded West. Because in my book here, I have fighting for the 8th playoff spot. You love Minnesota, but I got them fighting for the 8th spot with Memphis.
Miami. I flew back just to be with you, Jason.
I really appreciate that. Colin Kaepernick taking the day off, recovering from his travels. All right, Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor put on a show yesterday, that we will be talking about all the way up until August 26th, perhaps well past August 26th. What you saw yesterday, the press conference, the first of the press conferences between the 4 press conferences between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, boxing is there are no rules to the promotion of boxing. This is a desperation sport, participated by the people that come from desperate situations. Conor McGregor was on welfare a few years ago. Floyd Mayweather, raised by Floyd Sr., I don't think he was poor, but he definitely comes from the boxing tradition because of his father. There are no rules to the promotion of this fight, and so I'm warning people and telling people, those of you that want to catch religion, and this is too much, this is too far. Make sure you understand the history of combat sports, the history of the boxers we have celebrated, the things that have gone on in boxing and the promotion of boxing for generations. There are no rules to this. So let's not all get offended because Floyd and Conor aren't going to play by any rules. They are going to do, if they had to get naked on stage and call each other names for the next 24 hours in order to make an additional $50 million, these guys would do it. And we would have no right to complain. This is the atmosphere and the environment we set up. This fight is perfect for this era and this generation. And that's not me. This is porn, is what it is. And it's pulling the cover off of who we've become and how far we have sunk. And again, it sounds like I'm beating us up. I'm really just holding up a mirror to us. Have you been on social media? Have you...
Yes, I switched to Sprint, and her unlimited plan is half what you pay with Verizon for a family of 4. You can save over $1,000 in the first year.
That works for me. Unlimited, $22.50 per month for life. Don't let 1% difference cost you twice as much.
Now get 50% off all Domino's pizzas when you order online. 50% off sausage pizzas, handmade pan pizzas, even barbecue banana pepper pizzas. If you're into that, this week only, get 50% off the menu price of 34 million pizza combinations at Domino's.com.
thing that's so you from this season, last season, or next season. Fill your car with color. eBay. No mercy. No peace. If we lose, it will be of apes.
Faster than you think.
Boom!
The Falcon Wild Peak AT3W all-terrain tire is designed with our proprietary 3D Canyon sight technology to resist wear from high torque and provide even more handling stability. For the ultimate off-road grip, is the Falcon Wild Peak AT3W. Baseball Class, Wednesday, July 12th.
As the second half of the season gets underway, questions remain unanswered. Will the Cubs find the spark that made them the world champions? Can any team compete with the explosive Astros? And are these two talented rookies capable of leading their teams deep into the postseason? Cody Bellinger racks up another bomb. All rise. Here.
The rumor was that Doc was in Boston for it. Now, I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I do think that Chris and Carmelo want to play together. They're the Banana Boat friends. So I think that they probably talked, hey, if we go to Houston, this could work out. Even though Mike D'Antoni might not necessarily like it.
You holler Red Rock.
He told Floyd Sr., I'm going to put your son to sleep, but he will wake up a better man, as in humble. So Connor has big perspective on what's about to happen.
If Nate Diaz can touch it, I promise you, Floyd can put hands on him.
Wednesday afternoon. Alexi Wallace joining us now on the herd. Alexi, get in here. Talk some Gold Cup soccer tonight. U.S. versus Martinique.
My hero. The brains of the organization. We all know that. Hello, sir. How we doing?
How are you?
All right. Your Honor, how are you?
Good to Judge Jason. You know, George Greenberg, I don't know if you know him. Years ago, he wanted me to do a show, Judge Jason.
Did he really? I know Jake Greenberg.
Yes. All right. So on coverage based on what Richard Sherman does.
They're fallen orders.
I thought you were going to make a great point about you got to be low to the ground to be a great soccer player, right?
Not necessarily. I wasn't low to the ground. My center of gravity wasn't, and I'm not saying I'm a great
You
soccer
were a
player. but I did
defensive
okay.
player, though, right?
Yeah, but the ball in the air is part of soccer, and so the ability in the air to head the ball is important, and so that was one of the fortes that I had.
Is it harder for look? We've all said it. Let's go back to LeBron James. A 6'8" guy playing soccer. There probably aren't any, are there?
So there are big guys. That would be on the definitely on the high end of players. There are some guys that are big, but when you see a player like that, the ability in the air is something that automatically you're going to turn to. It's not that it can't be done, but certainly some of the best players in the world, that low center of gravity. So Barry Sanders.
Well, I don't get it because it seems like he would be in the way of Lonzo Ball. They play the same position.
That too.
And my position is, after watching now, I'm only basing it off 2 summer league games. My nickname for Lonzo is LaRondo Ball. That he's a 6'6" Rajon Rondo. Awkward shot. He shot a poor percentage from 3-point range. I just don't see where adding Rajon and taking minutes away from or I just don't see that as a good mix. I don't get that.
I don't think so either. Doesn't work. But maybe Rondo's got to do what he's got to do now.
Get that money.
And finally, Chris Paul is saying that he felt like it was time for a change and that the trade was good for him and the Clippers. I do believe this. I believe that this is why Doc was always on his side, sometimes to the point where other guys in the team didn't like it. But this core was clearly not working. They weren't getting any further in the playoffs. They weren't changing their roster, so something had to give. And Chris Paul decided to take it in his own hands, get out of there, and now the Clippers are forced to do something different. They're not going to be as good, but something had to change.
These rumors that Carmelo feels confident he's going to Houston make me think this was probably discussed between Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony.
Sure. The rumor was that Doc was in Boston for it. Now, I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I do think that Chris and Carmelo want to play together. They're the Banana Boat friends. So I think that they probably talked, hey, if we go to Houston, it's potentially a risky workout, even though Mike D'Antoni might not necessarily like.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herdline News.
All right, I want to switch topics. I want to transition into Joe Montana. This is my point. Football people that are just arguing about football, they're done with Colin Kaepernick. This is the San Francisco 49ers' greatest ambassador, greatest player to ever play for the 49ers. Has access. I could make the argument he's the most physically gifted quarterback in the history of football, and there are football people that will back me up on it. The NFL got tired of Jeff George and basically canceled him at age 34. More talent, more production than Colin Kaepernick ever hoped to have in the NFL. Jeff George was Rookie of the Year. 1 year he threw 29 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He carried the Vikings on a nice playoff run. Didn't get him to the Super Bowl, and I know Kaepernick did. But again, the NFL, he had tremendous talent and has still had the ability to help some teams. Tim Tebow, not that talented, but talented enough to be on an NFL roster. The NFL said, you know what? We don't want you anymore. We don't want to deal with questions about you when you're our backup quarterback. We don't want to deal with all of your sycophants and fame. Was on the Colin Kaepernick bandwagon. Early in his career with Jim Harbaugh, and when he came in, I'm friends with Alex Smith. I wasn't at the time, but I was all for Kaepernick taking Alex Smith's job. And so I used to be all in with Kaepernick. But as a football person, and again, the things he wants to support and the way he wants to go about supporting those things, I got some disagreement about.
He is what he is because he's obsessed with football. When you're coaching him, like, you better be ready to go at a moment's notice, whether it's for a meeting or practice or a game, and it made me a much better coach.
That's, again, is every quarterback like Tom Brady? No. But you damn sure better be if when you sign up for a team, there's a press circus following you. If you're going to be that big of a headache, and the baggage of having you includes a bunch of questions from the press, that you better be Tom Brady. You better be all in on football. You better be obsessive about the game and prepared better than any other player. That's when they'll put up with the other bogus BS that goes along with you. If you're just a guy, if you're a borderline starter or a backup, the NFL ain't got time for you if there's a bunch of baggage. That's been with white players, black players, Samoan players. All right, when we come back, I want to take your phone calls. 877-757-4373 is the phone number to call. I'm Jason Whitlock. You're in the Herd.
Welcome. I am the extra crispy Colonel, and my extra crispy $5 fill-up is a tasty real meal for just $5. KFC, it's extra crispy good.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I used to ask if you could hear me now at Verizon, but I switched to Sprint.
In the U.S. but around the world by taking their kneel for the national anthem.
I bet. Have you considered fire that he's preaching to? It's been effective. But to the other people, and there may be more people on the other side, it's been ineffective and made them resist even stronger what he's campaigning for.
I do believe you have a point in that, but what I think is he's getting a lot of people to think. And if you're racist in America, one person or a big major star isn't going to make you change your mind.
I bet. This is one thing I would love for people. Man, I really appreciate this phone call. Let's don't categorize all of Kaepernick's critics as racist. That's really highly unfair. I'm a Kaepernick critic. I love black people. I love being black. I am pro improving things for black people. I don't think